Republican Party is not united yet around a replacement plan. So, how realistic are the promises that President-elect Trump has put forth and now made an urgency? Joining us is one of the architects of the Affordable Care Act, Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel. Zeke, I actually called you the architect. You can pay me later. Let's play a game called They Say, You Say, They Say. Okay? So, we're going to do it with the promises. They say quick repeal and replacement.
And in some cases in the same bill.
Okay.
So we want to advance repealing this law with its replacement at the same time.
All right. So they're going to do it quickly at the same time. A clue that he gave the audience once they start doing their homework on this issue is in the same bill. This is going to be piecemeal. What's your criticism of this idea?
Well, I think if you're going to repeal the Affordable Care Act, you have to replace it at the same time. It's the quick that I think is a little off, because Republicans have had 7 years to come up with a replacement bill, and they have never introduced a replacement bill and gone through the process of actually trying to enact it. They do not agree among themselves, and so the notion that this will be quick, even if you didn't have Democrats who had their own ideas just within the Republican Party, that is a non-starter.
Okay.
Not have a bill that they can now put forward immediately.
And their response to that is their new mantra, which is, it is collapsing, it is broken, so we have to do it now because of what was already put in place. That's where the urgency is coming from. That flows into their next point, lower costs.
We have to repeal it and replace it with something absolutely much less expensive and something that works, where your plan can actually be tailored. We have to get rid of the lines around the state, artificial lines, where we stop insurance companies from coming in and competing. That gives the insurance companies essentially monopolies.
Okay, so the crux of this is we'll make it cheaper by allowing companies in different states to compete for people's business. Your answer?
Well, first of all, competition among insurance companies has been shown to keep premiums down. But the fundamental problem of the lines around states, there are now 3 states that do allow insurance companies to come in from other states, and not one single insurance company has ever made itself avail of that opportunity. There are problems of going across state lines. One of the things that Democrats, I think, legitimately worry about is a race to the bottom, as it were, if you don't have a minimum floor, which is that you go to some state that has very little requirements, no guarantees, you get established there, and then you try to sell it in other states like New York or California that actually have pretty robust guarantees for insurance companies. We don't want that kind of race to the bottom. So if you're going to allow sales across state lines, you actually need to have some minimum requirements that are uniform across the country. There are some ways of actually encouraging competition across state lines, and I think we could explore them, like if you get licensed in one state, that license should be able to extend to other states. But don't believe that that competition across state lines is going to dramatically lower healthcare costs.
Okay.
Healthcare costs are driven by using healthcare services, and so we have to change the use of healthcare services and the prices of those services.
All right, no loss of coverage. This is a big one.
Have been hurt by the Unaffordable Care Act will have more affordable, accessible health care. They're complaining that their premiums are rising, their choices in quality are diminished. They certainly have an access problem, many Americans, and yet we're guaranteeing those who do have coverage will not be without coverage.
All right, so the first question is one of the big assumptions here, which is people are getting crushed by high premiums. You like to make a case that you need to define who they is and what the reality of the facts are. What's your pushback?
Well, if you look at premiums, it is the case that they've gone up, but under President Obama, they've gone up much slower than they did under President Bush. Under President Bush, insurance premiums for people in employer-sponsored coverage went up 80% over his 8 years. Under President Obama, they went up 35%, substantially less. They still did go up. And I agree, we need to control healthcare costs. They're too high. That, however, requires a lot of work. It's much harder. There's no magic bullet. You need multiple approaches, mainly to reducing how much people are hospitalized, how much they go to the emergency room, the prices we pay for things like hip implants or stents or drugs. That is a complex process that requires paying doctors differently, paying hospitals differently, making them change how they deliver care.
Let's wrap the next two into one, and here's the question. If they're going to keep pre-existing conditions, if they're going to keep kids covered through 26, which they say, what do people have to know about the way that that is made achievable?
So if you're going to have no pre-existing condition exclusions, i.e. insurance companies can't say you have cancer, we're not covering you, or the premium's going to be $50,000, you have to get everyone in the system. And you either have to have a mandate or give everyone coverage or something. You cannot take away the mandate or something like that to get everyone in the system. Second, you need a minimum benefit package. You need to say everyone has to have these benefits. Every insurance company has to